Hey guys, so here's the notes for, it's going to be 3.6. I guess I should change this. There we go. There we go. Okay, here's the notes for 3.6. We're going to be talking about completing the square. Okay, so with completing the square, this is actually going to combine two of the things that we have already learned. Factoring and taking the square root on both sides, okay? Now, when we are doing our completing the square, what we need to do, I'm going to skip this stuff here and kind of just talk about it. There we go. What we're trying to do is we need to make sure we have what is called a perfect square trinomial, meaning that on our left-hand side, that if we could have been factoring this, but if it's not factorable, what we'll have to do is move the numbers over. So let's go ahead, let's kind of go through this and what we're going to do. And I'm going to take this step by step. Okay, first step. So the idea is that our constant, so remember in this case the 4's are constant, because it is the value without a variable, okay? We're going to have to move the constant to the other side. So that's our first step. So in this case, I'm going to subtract 4 to the other side. Okay, now in order to factor, we need to create a perfect square trinomial. Now, how can we do this? Well, we are going to use a formula here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my x squared minus 12x plus, I need to leave a blank because trinomial means 3 terms, right? So I need to add something to the left-hand side to make it a trinomial. Now, there's that saying, what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So I'm going to have negative 4 plus that same number as well. So how do I know what is going to be our value we plug in? Well, we will have to use a formula. So the formula we're going to use is going to be b divided by 2 squared, okay? Now, what does that b represent? Well, let's kind of go back up. Remember, if we are in that standard form, a is in front of the x squared, b is in front of the x, and c is our constant. So in this case, our b is negative 12. So I'm going to plug it into the formula and add that to both sides. So I have negative 12 divided by 2 squared. So that gives me negative 6 squared. And then I evaluate that, gives me 36. So that's what I'm going to add to both sides. Okay. Now, my next step I'm going to do is I'm going to factor. Okay. So, I have my x squared minus 12x plus 36 equals, I'm going to go ahead and evaluate negative 4 plus 36, that gives me 32. Now, I'm going to factor the x squared minus 12x plus 36. So once again, I need to find two numbers that multiply to 36, add up to the negative 12. So let's list all the numbers. I have 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 5 and 6 and 6. Okay? Well, the nice part is our a value is 1, so I just do x and x. Okay? Well, which pair, if I added or subtracted, would give us to the negative 12? It is going to be the 6. Now, to add up to a negative 12, both of them have to be a negative sign, okay? Now, once we have factored this, I'm going to rewrite this so then I can take the square root on both sides. So notice the x minus 6, they are the same exact factor. Now, this should always happen. You should always get the same factor. If not, rethink how you factor, okay? So rewriting this, I'm going to have x minus 6 squared. Remember, we kind of lightly talked about this, that you can rewrite it, indicating that squared that you have two of the same factors. Okay, now my next step is to take the square root on both sides. Okay, so with that, I'm going to rewrite this, x minus 6 squared equals 32. Because remember, how do we get rid of that square? We square root. Okay, so I get x minus 6. Now, before I do anything, with that 32, is that a perfect square? No. But is there a perfect square that goes into it? Yes. So we need to simplify. Now, pick the largest perfect square. Probably a lot of you said it was 4, but there's actually a bigger perfect square, which is 16, that goes into 32. Okay, now x minus 6 equals, what's the square root of 16? 4. Now don't forget, anytime we take the square root, we have the plus minus sign, and then we have square root of 2. Lastly, we do want to solve for x here. So this would be our 5th step. So I have x minus 6 equals plus minus 4 square root of 2. My last thing is I need to add 6 to both sides. Now be careful. We cannot do 6 and then with a 4 to give us 10. No, no, no. We can't do that because they are not like terms. Instead, anytime you either add or subtract a number to the other side at this point, we need to put it in front of the plus minus sign. So I have x equals 6 plus minus 4 square root of 2. And then this represents our two solutions. We have 6 plus 4 square root of 2 and 6 minus 4 square root of 2. And this would be my final answer. Okay, go ahead and watch the next part. We're going to do another problem just like that.